Right where Colin was wrong. Plenty of both on a Monday. Great to have you, Christine Leahy, joining me. Listen, man, here is something that is evolved over time. Is that there's no question that in my lifetime, there's a separation between how NFL teams think and how the media that covers the NFL thinks. Is that it was both sort of understood as a kid growing up, as a young journalist, as a young broadcaster. Football is not baseball. There's a clock. Time is everything in football. Time's nothing in baseball. I mean, time's just take your time, lollygag, out of the box, and the box. Time's everything in football. How quick? No, now we have no huddle. And it's serious. The NFL is not about quirky and goofy, and we celebrate that in baseball. We kind of like it in basketball. We don't do it in football. But the media now covering football is covering it like it's baseball, that quirky is great. And it's goofy is fun, and undisciplined adds to the tapestry of football. No, it doesn't. Football is about the GM and the coach and the quarterback. And if they're not smart and they're not grown-ups, you're not going to win any games. You're not going to win any Super Bowls. GM, coach, quarterback, got to be grown-ups. Can't have a Johnny Manziel in there screwing stuff up. So the Raiders, this just shows you the media. The Raiders, John Gruden, didn't like Marquette King. Marquette King's a punter. Marquette King is a, quoted, flamboyant social media star. Marquette King last year, back-to-back games, had personal fouls. Marquette King called his own fake punt, butchered it. Marquette King is about Marquette King. He's a pretty good punter, but he's a punter. And Gruden's like, out, not interested. Jack Del Rio didn't like him either, but didn't have the guts like Gruden. Gruden said, you're out of here. Here are the headlines about this. Here's two headlines today in the media. The Raiders have tragically cut Marquette King, the NFL's most entertaining punter. WTF. Yeah, WTF is tragically cut Marquette King. This is a locker room that gave too much power to Marshawn Lynch, where the offensive linemen stopped blocking for Derek Carr because politically they weren't aligned. This was not a grown-up locker room last year. We got a grown-up now, Gruden. The NFL is about your GM, your coach, and your quarterback. It's about Derek Carr, John Gruden, and McKenzie, the GM. It's not about a punter. By the way, let me give you a list of really, really popular football coaches who were quirky. Rex Ryan, Jerry Glanville, Les Miles, Herm Edwards. Fired. Okay, John Gruden walks into the Raiders. He's not interested in a flamboyant social media icon as a punter who calls his own fakes, who in back-to-back games had penalties, who Jack Del Rio didn't like either. This is not baseball. It's got a clock. Quirky doesn't win in this league. The media loves Manziel's story. They love Kaepernick. They love politics in their locker rooms. That's not what coaches and general managers like. That's not what GMs and coaches like. This is not tragic. ESPN called it perplexing, not in the least. Christine Leahy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
I think that's the first time you've ever said my last name, introducing me into the news. Did you pick up on that?
Christine Leahy with the news.
You should just say Christine with the news.
Well, maybe I was getting into that
like,
discipline
what, did
talk.
I do something? Am I about to get a report card? What's going on here? Greg Popovich is talking about Kawhi Leonard and his absence, and I want you to listen really closely to what he said, because I'm interested if you'll feel the same way about it that I do. He said, I don't know when he's going to feel, he and his group are going to feel like they're ready to go. If I knew, he'd be here. When he and his group feel he's ready, he'll be ready. Anything strike you as interesting there?
His group?
Yeah. That feels like shots.
It's what it's telling you is we have our group over here. Kawhi's not part of our group over here. That's a real shot.
It is a shot, and it makes me think that this whole locker room meeting that happened, that really was what happened. And they were kind of saying, hey, what's going on here? The team feels you're ready, but your group doesn't think you're ready.
That's what we saw. I saw that headline, and I was like, your group.
Yeah.
There's
no reason to say that unless you felt something weird about it.
Yeah.
The Rockets lost 102-83 yesterday to the Spurs. They've already clinched home court advantage throughout the playoffs. They are the 1 seed. But Mike D'Antoni was upset that they lost, and he also is talking about whether you should rest your players or keep the momentum going into the playoffs. It's kind of a debate, but here's his take on that.
Yeah, because we just didn't bring it, and we just weren't sharp. We haven't been sharp now for about 3 or 4 games. It haven't been just 1 or 2 days, and that's scary when you rest guys and you're out, and that's why at the end of the year, you got to be careful about taking guys out and just rest them. Everybody wants rest. Well, they got to play. And, otherwise we're going to lose the advantage of, what you work for 80 games. And it's scary times for us. And you got to play. You got to you got to bring it. And you got to bring it every day. So we'll get it back.
I can see that argument, and I thought about it for a good 5 minutes. I'm going to go with resting players is better than playing them, especially if you're the 1 seed. Maybe if you're lower down in the standings, then I can understand that argument. If you're hot, you want to stay hot.
Yeah.
But the Rockets are going to play the Pelicans as of right now. The Pelicans are a good team, but I think if you need to build your momentum back after resting your players, you can kind of do that in the first couple games of the first round.
I am for resting veteran players. Philadelphia is our young team. I'd play, if I was Philadelphia, I'd just keep playing all my young legs.
Yeah.
But if I have a bunch of veteran guys, especially Chris Paul's had occasional knee issues.
Yeah, so he needs to rest anyways.
I have no problem with it.
I agree. And finally, I'm only smiling because this has a happy ending to the story. But Joel Embiid, he underwent surgery to repair his broken orbital bone over the weekend. And right when he came out of surgery, he went on Twitter, which isn't surprising. He loves Twitter. And he tweeted at Rihanna saying, "Babe, are you single or nah?" Like, when he's clearly coming out of whatever surgery he had.
He was probably loopy.
On some of the drugs.
Yes.
He was thinking about Rihanna. And remember, he has always had a crush on Rihanna for years. And he even photoshopped himself on a date with Rihanna. That is
that a Photoshop?
Yeah, that's Photoshopped. Because remember, Rihanna said, "No, I won't go out with you until you're an all-star." And then I think Joel said he was over it, but clearly not. Like, his mind, even when loopy, is thinking about Rihanna. But that also gives me some hope that Joel Embiid is going to be okay. He's already humorous after his surgery.
Yes.
So hopefully back in 2 weeks, they say.
That's funny. Christine with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Car won't start. Advance Auto Parts. Free battery starter, alternator testing, and free battery installation with purchase. Visit an Advance or participating CarQuest Auto Parts store today. Get you back on the road. Advance Auto Parts. He's my friend, show after mine on Fox Sports Radio. Of course, we have him on tonight because it's Villanova in Michigan. He's my friend Doug Gottlieb now joining us. I got to tell you, I think you may think I'm nuts here. The underdog brand Villanova is a massive favorite, and I think sports does have some psychology. I think Villanova's a better team. But what about my theory that they're a little engine that could, and they come in tonight like a Duke favorite, and I think they could be really tight.
That's a great hypothesis. It's a hypothesis because it hasn't been proven. Right. It's a great. I thought it was an incredible radio segment you did. Congratulations to you. Here's the issue is that at the end of the day, talent does win. And remember, this is a team that, though they have not carried the badge of being the number one team in the country in the Final Four before, they've been the number one. Everyone's known they were the best team in the country coming into the season.
Yeah.
And the thought was, or one of the top 2 or 3, and the thought was they would be here. And they're not the defending national champion because they won it 2 years ago, but it sure feels that way. It really does.
Michigan wants ugly tonight, right? Michigan wants 63-61.
Sure, but this is a Villanova team that showed that they could win ugly against Texas Tech. I think what you want is you want Villanova to settle. The best point you made was that Villanova is a very good shooting team, but when they lose, when they get beat, they shoot a high number of threes. And they just don't make them.
Right.
So you want to, it's called run them off the line, and no one runs you off the line as well as Michigan, maybe anywhere in the country. So my issue is I just don't see enough quality matchups. Right? I mean, that's really the problem.
Sure.
And Michigan is a team that at times struggles to score.
Yes.
Especially when you allow them to isolate, because only Charles Matthews can really get his own shot.
Right.
And you're dealing with a Villanova team that, yes, maybe the pressure is a lot, but Phil Booth, he scored 30 points the last Final Four. You have Mikal Bridges. He played great the last Final Four. And Jalen Brunson, who played great the last Final Four.
Yeah.
So you have guys that have been there before that have dealt with this type of pressure.
Villanova should win tonight.
Yes, they are. Look, they are the perfectly comprised team for 2018. Right? You have all we've talked about is FBI scandal, and you have 2 clean programs, 2 clean coaches. But more than anything, you have hybrid big guys that can step out, that can shoot the 3, that can guard guards. You have depth, and maybe the most important part that goes undersold and not discussed is Jalen Brunson's in his 3rd year. You have Mikal Bridges, who has redshirted, right? You have Dante DiVincenzo, redshirted. Eric Pascal transferred, had to redshirt.
He's a grown-up.
You have Mari Spellman, had to redshirt last year because of academics. So you have guys that have committed to the culture, have played before, are skilled players, and outside of maybe Charles Matthews and yeah, maybe you're better at the 5 to start the game, but Villanova has better depth, better point guard play, better overall shooting. I think they're the better team. Your hypothesis is great.
Made great radio.
My hypothesis is when all things are equal, you got to have guys that make shots. Better players make better plays, and this is an efficient, refined team that don't underestimate how good defensively Villanova is. They're going to win the national championship.
Okay, like Sam, my producer, he doesn't want me to talk about this, so we're only going to do 2 minutes, so we'll do a piece, Sam.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting. In that this is what happens in all businesses, but let's just keep it to sports. Baseball, analytics. I went to a Dodger game last night. Analytics is tweaking the business. No huddles in football, tweaking the business.
Yes.
Basketball, NBA, three-point revolution, tweaking the business. All businesses get modified eventually. Burger King will change a menu. Chipotle will change a menu.
We get smarter. We should get smarter.
Okay.
It's called evolution.
Okay.
We should, right?
All right. So one and done comes out. Now everybody's like, you got to get rid of one and done. No good, no good, no good, no good. No. Here's my modification of the one and done. There's very few great high school bigs. 6'11", Marvin Bagley. You take him. But I think an argument can be made when I watch these tournaments that a veteran point I could pass on the revolving door of my quarterback at Kentucky every year. Would John Calipari and Duke say, listen, we're still one-and-done programs. We're not going to turn down a 7-footer. But I'm watching Villanova play, and I'm watching Loyola play, and I'm watching Kansas play, Doug, and I'm watching Michigan play. That third-year point guard, I don't want a freshman tonight.
Well, it's interesting. Look, you also talked about how things change based upon somebody missing on a player. Right? I mean, that the Cleveland Browns are going to draft Josh Allen because they missed on Carson Wentz.
Right.
I mean, think about this. Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick, played at Temple.
Right.
He was probably going to Temple because Rick Brunson was going to be put on staff at Temple.
Okay.
Rick Brunson gets arrested, so Temple's like, hey, we can't hire you. Now, all of a sudden, he goes to Villanova, and they're going to win 2 national championships in 3 years. If he stays another year, they'll have a shot at another one. He might go pro. Jalen Brunson's the perfect college player. He basically was it Tyus Jones who was at Duke? They're the same guy, right? In that they're not quite big enough to be a slow point guard in the NBA and be a starter. They're not Mark Jackson or Andre Miller. They're really skilled, really smart, run your team, do everything you want them to do. They're just not a great enough athlete to be, hey, I got to have that guy one and done.
Okay, so do you buy my modification of the one and done? That the advantage is maybe a junior point guard, maybe the modification of the one and done is it's not killing Kentucky, but God, I watch their offense when they have these freshmen running the show. They don't look like Villanova. They don't look like Michigan.
But this is part of your player evaluation. Okay, they took Quade Green, who was thinking but was choosing.
That's Weeds. That's Weeds from out.
No, Quade Green is from Philadelphia. Okay, he had a choice between Nova and
this
Kentucky.
Is getting too weedy for me.
I understand. The point is,
let's go to the fairway.
It's about what players you select. Okay, if you select the true point guard, then you're better off. Yes, would I prefer to have a 3-year guy? Sure. Had Duke, had Jones stayed at Trey's his brother who's going to Duke next year.
His weedy.
Had he stayed at Duke, Duke would have won
Okay.
2 or 3
Too
national
weedy.
titles.
It got real weedy for me. Sam's screaming at me. Okay, let's go to the big stuff.
I thought usually
I
when
was
I'm hosting
following
your
you.
show, I say what I think. But apparently that year.
Okay, let's get out of college basketball for a second. Okay, so we got this whole thing with over the weekend there was a video that was released. And it was a video of Aaron Rodgers of the Packers, handsome guy, a little aloof, great talent, and Josh Rosen, UCLA. You know the UCLA program well, Josh Rosen. And I've been saying this for about a year. I kind of think they're the same dude. So if you like the condescending kind of nature and aloofness of Rodgers, you can't tell me it's a reason you're going to pass on Josh Rosen. Jim Mora came out in the last week and said, I'd take Darnold over Rosen. That freaked everybody out. So first of all, when Mora was totally authentic and honest and said, in Cleveland, I'd probably take Darnold. If you were Josh Rosen, would you like that? Would you be offended by that?
No. You are supposed to be Baghdad Bob when you are selling the stock of Josh Rosen if you coached Josh Rosen.
What do you mean?
You remember Baghdad Bob from the 2003 invasion?
Yes.
Right? Hey, nothing. We're great. We're dominating the Americans. If I'm Josh Rosen, I want my former head coach going, I don't care if it's in Cleveland or it's on Jupiter.
So you're bothered by it?
Oh, you should be bothered by it.
Why?
I was your quarterback. I got hurt for you. I went to war for you. Okay? Not only is he saying draft Sam Darnold played for USC. You were the UCLA head coach. You got like $15 million to not coach UCLA. Are you kidding me? You have to be willing to lay down on tracks for your quarterback. And the fact that he's not tells you everything you need to know about Josh Rosen. That Josh Rosen was at St. John Bosco, was a super talented quarterback, and they won a ton of games, and no one was particularly sad to see him go. Josh Rosen was a super talented quarterback at UCLA, and he got injured, and they had all kinds of dysfunction. They didn't have very good defense. He wasn't surrounded by great players. But the fact is that no one was all that sad to see him go. And I know you're judging him like he's Aaron Rodgers, but this is not who Aaron Rodgers was when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. And this is not necessarily who Aaron Rodgers is when he's in the locker room surrounded by some other alpha males. This is who Josh Rosen is. His reputation is established. And, oh, yeah, by the way, there's one other part of the Josh Rosen story that doesn't get discussed enough. Everyone questions his durability.
That's fair.
He was a great tennis player. Couldn't play tennis anymore because he hurt his shoulder. It's kind of important playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay, he missed a good extent of 2 seasons because of injury, concussions, and some sort of bone up in here, right in your thoracic region or whatever. He got ragdolled a couple times in college football. He's not the athlete of Aaron Rodgers. So this is, who was the General Stockdale, right? Remember the famous vice presidential debate where Dan Quayle said, liking himself to John F. Kennedy?
Right.
And so, Senator, I know Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a friend of mine. And Senator Josh Rosen is no Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, fair enough. I still don't think in life that you get punished for. I'm in the media. I want honest people. Everybody's lying to me in the media. That Jim Mora came out and said, actually, I think Darnold's a better fit. I love that, but I do get, or the Rosen family's like, time out. We could have chosen SC. We chose you.
Right.
Do us a solid.
I understand. I understand that you want him to be honest. He also came out with Peter King, who was released today, in which he said he's a millennial. You have to challenge him intellectually.
Now, that was interesting.
It was interesting, but the idea that he wasn't challenged enough, just say it, okay? He's speaking in code. Just say it. He's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Okay? He's super smart. He's super talented. He wants to play quarterback, and he has the skill set to play quarterback. But it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot. And Sam Darnold's not a lot.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's a lot more fun. And you know what? I'd rather coach Sam Darnold. I'd rather have Sam Darnold on my team.
Wait, he's a pain in the ass because he likes to be challenged?
No,
he's talking in code.
Yeah, Josh comes with, all the NFL guys I trust say the same thing. It's okay, I'll give you an example. I watched the Gary Shandling HBO special over the weekend.
Yes.
And even his friends, the comedians, are like, being around Gary was work. And they loved him. And he passed away, and they were at his funeral telling jokes, and they were crying how much they loved him, and they were like, Gary was a lot of work. They said he spelled his name, Gary, with 2 R's. That tells you everything. He was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so
he didn't name himself. His parents.
I understand, but Christine, this is, and it's hard to have this discussion with a beautiful woman, okay? But there are beautiful women that are beautiful, and know they're beautiful and have been told they're beautiful since the day they wake up.
Yes.
And they walk in and they know everybody else knows that they're beautiful. And it can be a lot. Whereas you want a 10 who thinks she's a 7.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who thinks she's a 7.
You want a 10 who thinks she's a 7.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. You don't want a 10 who's, you don't want a 9 who's
unicorn?
like, I'm a 10.
For years and years, I dated 4s who thought they were 9s.
Oh,
That was really
2
a
5s
problem.
make a 10.
And I was one of those.
5 2s.
Delusional.
Okay, finally.
A 10 at
What are you guys?
2.
What are you guys? What do you think you are?
A 10 at 2 is a 2 at 10?
Whatever.
Anyway.
Okay, so Marquette King gets cut,
Yes.
and all the media coverage is perplexing, outrageous. How can you do this? And I'm like, the guy got penalized multiple times as a punter. To me, John Gruden's like, okay, I'm cleaning out this locker room. I got Derek Carr, I got Khalil Mack, I got Amari Cooper. Everything else I'm willing to deal with. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't make sense is the Marshawn Lynch thing, right? That Marshawn Lynch was a divisive factor inside that locker room.
And he likes him.
And I don't know if he likes him or if he likes his kind of toughness and thinks, kind of like Michael Bennett said, you need 1 or 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
But I think he was divisive in terms of Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a milk and cookies guy.
Yeah.
You know, holds his playbook in one hand, Bible in the other.
Yeah.
And I think there's some struggles in that internal relationship
I agree.
with the offense. But the Marquette King thing, look, I think this came to a head not this year. I think it was the previous year on Thursday Night Football. They're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. And Marquette King was a huge story because he was the dancing punter.
Right.
He was the dancing punter kicked the ball to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill took it to the house.
Right.
Look, you can dance as a punter, but you know what you don't do? You don't punt it to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Don't believe me? Ask Bob Stoops. He did it twice at Oklahoma. It's the dumbest decision he ever made. And of course, Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, clowned him. Was doing his punt dance
Right.
afterwards. When you're the most famous punter ever is Ray Guy. Does anybody remember Ray Guy's celebrations? No. Right? Adam Vinatieri. Well, you know what's cool? What's cool is being great at your job. And I think that's what John Gruden's. He's not terrible at his job. He's fine.
He's fine.
Okay, but I don't need the dancing punter. I need the punter who doesn't kick it to Tyreek Hill.
That's very good, Doug Gottlieb. All right, good stuff today. We had all sorts of stuff. And Sam, I had to get it out. So Sam's screaming at me in my ear all the time.
What is he yelling at you about?
Sam, I got a lot of. Listen, talk about needy people.
Sam,
I'm dealing with a lot of stuff up here on the set.
You can barely feel the strings. You see the strings moving when Colin moves his arms.
Okay, Doug Gottlieb's on after me on Fox Sports Radio. Coming up next, calling right, calling wrong in 30 minutes. And coming up next, a relationship that I can't believe it's still lasting. So that it could break up makes a ton of sense to me. That's coming up. It's a fact of life. Attorneys are expensive. You're likely to pay $300 an hour. Is that what an attorney costs?
It depends on
keep
your
going.
attorney.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
up.
Keep going.
$300
All
an
depends.
hour?
All depends on the crime.
Yeah, what'd you do?
One reason why smart business owners are turning to LegalZoom to start their businesses, LLCs, incorporation, and more. Lease agreements, changing tax laws, contract reviews. It's just part of running your own biz. And that's precisely the kind of legal hurdles that take time and effort away from growing your business. That's why LegalZoom created their business legal plan. You get legal advice, tax pros tell you about the Trump tax changes in every state. You get access to NDAs, lease agreements, and more. Go to LegalZoom.com now. Code Colin, C-O-L-I-N. LegalZoom.com, code Colin at checkout.
Hey, we didn't have a homeowner's claim last year, so Allstate's giving us money back on our bill.